Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our next presentation. We've done a couple of these now, so you'll recognise several of the faces that are going to be talking to you today. Our presentation this afternoon is all about settling in our families into Raha and more specifically into KCC. So we'll be going through lots of details around the school day, the staff, the routes that you might take into school, the setup of the school, the layout of the school, just to try and get you and your children and your families acclimatised to life at KCC. So to start with, I will do some introductions. My name is Anna Lacey. I am the head of early years. You're going to be hearing today from Anne Watkins, who is the head of primary, and Paul Eade, who is the head of secondary. You'll also be hearing from Melissa Casal, who is the deputy head of early years and primary, and we have Rachel Harlan, who is our assistant head. You'll see on the screen there lots of faces that you will become very familiar with over your time at KCC. So we've got Ian College, who many of you will have seen on our adverts, and you'll have met when you've come into Gardens or Khalifa City Campus. He is our Director of Education, so he sits across both Gardens Campus and Khalifa City Campus. And then we have Nicola Neathling, who is our Vice Principal and Head of KCC. And you've also got Naomi Clancy and Vaughan Kitson, who are the Deputy Heads of Secondary, and Assam, who is our Head of Arabic. So you'll meet him, I'm sure, over those first few weeks at KCC. Moving on, I'm going to hand over to Anne, our Head of Primary, who's going to talk a little bit about our mission and vision at KCC.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Anne Watkins, the Head of Primary here at KCC. So these slides that we are going through this afternoon will be sent out to all of you for your reference. So we will be flicking through them and giving you as much information that we can, but please also note that these slides will be sent out to you, so you can use it as a reference at any time to go back on. At this slide here, we're looking at our mission and vision, and it's something that that encompasses all that we do at Raha, and has been very much a part of our development at Gardens Campus and here at KCC. It encompasses our decisions, it encompasses and feeds forward all that we do to keep growing as a school. We use our mission and vision to inform our decisions on how we want to go from outstanding to exceptional. We never want to stand still as a school. We never want to slow down. We always want to be the best school in the UAE. That is our mission, and the highest performing school in the UAE. And this is a reminder to us and our school community of how we do that. And we see these mission and vision posters around our school. I'm going to hand back over to Anna now, who will talk to us a little bit about our philosophy. Sorry, Anna, I think you're muted.
Thank you. So I was just saying that when we think about our philosophy, we think about it in terms of three distinct areas: the learner, the teaching and learning, and our community. And those three aspects to our philosophy are sort of happen in unison with each other. We need each aspect of that triangle almost to keep that shape, and each one being equally as important as the other. The learner sitting at the top of that triangle, where we're thinking about our children as inquisitive, capable learners, which fits in beautifully with that IB philosophy around creating those child-centred, child-initiated learning, where our children are taking ownership and agency of their learning. The community that is in place supporting that, those relationships, those connections, and then the teachers and the learning sitting at the heart of that, drawing all of that in together. Our teachers are creating those beautiful learning experiences in the classroom. They're creating the learning environments, all feeding into creating that opportune moment for the children in school. I'm going to hand over now to Rachel, who's going to talk to you a little bit about KCC.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rachel Harlan, the Assistant Head of EYM Primary, and I will be joined by David Kinsella, who will be joining us from Canada. At Raha, we follow the IB curriculum, which includes the primary years program, which is from EY1 to grade 5. We have the middle years program and diploma program. And the IB students are developing to be active and engaging learners who what we call internationally minded, and they develop the skills and independence to become well-rounded global citizens. And you might see this when you start having conversations with your children. They're talking about their learning, they're making connections, and they're thinking about the local and global context. Next slide, please, Anna. Thank you. At Khalifa City Campus, we're very, very lucky to have a huge range of diverse community with students and parents and staff from all over the world. We're a really highly experienced and dedicated team from different curriculums, and Raha is a really, really welcoming and warm place which celebrates and brings together our passions as a teaching and learning team. In early years, next year for phase 2, we will have 4 classes in EY1, 5 classes in EY2, and 3 classes in grade 1. Each class will have a homeroom teacher and a learning assistant in the classroom. Then we move over to the primary years, and we have 4 classes in grade 2, 3 classes in grade 3, 4 in grade 4 and 2 in grade 5, and each class has a homeroom teacher, and we have a learning assistant that shares and works across more than one classroom. As we move up to the secondary years, we have 3 classes in grade 6, 1 in grade 7 and 2 in grade 8. And students have an advisory teacher who meets with them every morning before they head off to their specialist subjects. We are really lucky to have a really experienced specialist teaching team, which includes an inclusion teacher, PE and swimming teacher, Arabic and Islamic teachers, music, art, and some very, very skilled librarians. Next slide. Thank you, Anna. And here you'll see the overview of our beautiful new campus, which is opening for phase 2. And if you have a look in the very top at the EY and EY1 and EY2 section, that's where we were housed this year with EY1 to grade 3. So it's very exciting that we get to expand. And you'll see that the grade 1 team will be moving over still really close as they are part of the early years, and the primary school will be housed on the first floor. And as we move up, we have our middle and secondary students. You will see that we've got a main entrance down to the bottom right, and entry and exit procedures will be shared prior to the year beginning. And we'll be able to see where drop-up and pickups and things like that are happening. I will now pass you back to Anna, who is going to talk a little bit about life in the early years.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about early years, and as we've said in many of our presentations before, that early years is EY1, EY2 and grade 1. And for us at KCC and Raha, when we talk about the early years, what we are aiming for with our early years is to create a really solid foundation for future years at school, but actually, the children's whole life ahead of them. So we want to create really that real passion and love for school and love for learning. So many of those first weeks in early years will be about developing high levels of well-being, high levels of involvement, settling those children in so that they are really enjoying coming to school, because we know that once that love of learning is there, that many aspects of school become much easier. That focus is there, that need and want to come into school and socialise with their friends is really important as well. I think it's important to recognise that each child in the early years, and in fact the whole of KCC, is that unique child, and we know that our younger children can have very big developmental differences. So we know our younger children develop at varying rates, and the brilliant thing about our classrooms and our teachers and the space that we have in early years is we have the perfect opportunity to be able to break into smaller groups across the school and across the campus, and especially in this first year year, where we have so much space around us, we'll be able to break off into those smaller groups to make sure that every child is getting that really focused learning that they need to feel safe and settled and excited about school. I'm going to pass back over to Rachel, who's just going to talk to you a little bit more about the practicalities of life in EY.
Thank you, Anna. So we've got some fantastic learning and teaching leads who you will get to know as you join the school in EY1, EY2 and Grade 1. They all have a wealth of experience in the PYP and at Raha, and Michelle and Quiva have moved over from Gardens Campus to join us for Phase 1 this year, and Danelle has been with us for Phase 1 too. So the emails are there if you have any questions about EY1, what it's like joining the new school and life in the early years. Just a couple of things to talk about to prepare your child for the new year. Let's start with things at home, help them to recognise their name and their bag, encourage them to be independent, whether it's making sure they can go to the bathroom, they know how to dress themselves, how to get things out of the bag, like their lunch, so that they're ready when they come to school. Are they able to tie their shoes, put on their jumpers, things like that. It's also really important in the EY, we love to get messy. We want to really encourage that hands-on play. So we encourage it. We don't need the uniforms to be pristine all day, every day. We want to see the students having fun, engaged with their learning. So it'd be really great to have a spare pair of clothes. It does not have to be the uniform, just in a snap lock bag, and the teachers will keep it at school and then send home the uniform if it does get dirty. So if you could send your child with a named Ziploc bag, so that that is there in case we need to send that home as well. A typical week in the early years will include things like a morning meeting, phonics, continuous provision, swimming or PE, bike time, library, music, Arabic, art, and funky fingers. So you can see we're very, very busy in the early years. So it's really good to start talking positively about school and all the exciting things that are going on. It's a busy schedule, but our students are really good at settling into a routine very quickly, as the teachers will encourage them to work independently. And that's a fantastic thing about the IB program as well. I'm now going to pass to Anne, who will talk about the life in the primary years.
Thank you, Rachel. So life in the primary years follows on seamlessly and beautifully from life in the early years. Primary is from grades 2 to grade 5. And being a PYP school, it means that our classrooms are busy, fun places that are full of conversation, presentations, and inquiry. We are encouraging our students every day to develop their skills. We want them to develop their communication skills, their social skills, their inquiry skills. So our classrooms are places where we build up our students to be confident learners, where they feel safe to be able to explore, ask questions, be vulnerable, and develop into the best versions of themselves. Being a PYP school, our curriculum is transdisciplinary. That means that we don't have a specified lesson that says, this is now language or English writing time, this is now maths time, this is now science time. We try as much as possible to bring all of that learning together and to make it in the right context, into a global context, and make it into a real life situation for them. So they might come home and talk about all that they're learning that they've done, and they may not specify or be specific about what they have learned in each individual subject. These outcomes, where possible, are brought together in their learning to make it hands-on and applicable to real life situations. Our day starts off every morning with a morning meeting, where the children get an opportunity to share, develop friendships, and really focus on developing that community within their classrooms. They then spend large majority of their day with their homeroom teacher in their homeroom class, but they do go out to their specialist lessons, which is Arabic, Islamic, swimming or PE, music, art, where they do have specialist teachers that they will attend those lessons with. And I'm going to hand back over to Rachel, who will talk a little bit more about life in the primary years.
Thanks, Anne. So now I'd like to introduce you to our learning and teaching leads for the primary. So Anne-Marie will be across grades 2 and 3, and Michael Brady grades 4 and 5. Again, they are both very experienced teaching the PYP, and they are a great way to contact, great people to contact if you have any questions about life in the primary years. Again, talking about how you can prepare your child for the new year. So it's really important to start talking positively about starting a new school, that transition, what it's like going to a new building, making lots of new friends, things like that, and reassure them that they're not the only one. That's the really exciting thing about Raha. As we grow and expand, there are lots of new students sharing in the same experiences as well. It might be a great idea to drive past the school and show them what it's going to look like, and you'll see it's huge and there's lots to explore. So it would be a great way to get your child excited about joining us. Again, encourage the independence with things like packing bags, looking after lunch boxes. Do they know how to use their iPad? Which apps will they be using at school? Things like that, which will really help when they are settling in the first couple of weeks. Again, really encourage responsibility for their belongings, iPads, and it'd be really good to help your child set up school folders on the child's iPad and download all the school specific apps as well. I'm now going to pass on to Paul, who will talk about life in the secondary years.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Eade. I'm the head of secondary here at Gardens Campus and soon to be Khalifa City Campus. I've been working over the last year and a half with the Khalifa City team, looking to ensure that the great work that we've been able to accomplish at the Gardens Campus over the years is extended into the new campus and into the secondary school. So we're very much looking forward to welcoming around 150 new students and families into secondary. In my role, I will be overseeing the new campus, the new start to the school year. My team here in secondary, we're basically going to be an extension of the Gardens campus over in Khalifa City, working with you guys and the students to get oriented. There's quite a lot in terms of setup for the secondary school, so I'd also like to invite you to another session if you're able to attend next Wednesday. Around this time, you'll receive an invite if you're a secondary family. Again, with a link, if you have any questions, please push it through on the link and we'll be able to answer those questions with the secondary team next week. So very much looking forward to welcome our secondary students if you're on the call and work getting our families ready for a new school year. Very nice to meet you, and I'm going to hand over now to Miss Melissa.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melissa Casal, and I am the Deputy Head of Early Years in Primary at our new Khalifa City campus. I am going to be walking you through some slides that I won't go into too much detail because we will send this to you at a later time and you can refer back to it, but I'll just briefly go over what each contains. So the school day starts at Raha at 7:30 in the morning, and after that the children will be going to their classrooms through the exterior doors, and the national anthem will then play at 7:40. If your child happens to be late, at 7:50, they can go to the front reception to get a late slip. If your child is in EY1, EY2, or grade 1, and they ride the bus, then you can rest assured that the bus nanny will walk them directly to their classroom. We do have different finishing times depending on the grade of your child. So our EY1 class, they finish at 1 o'clock p.m. EY2 then finishes at 2, and the remaining grades in the school finish at 3 o'clock every day, except for Tuesday, where we have our early dismissal, which is at 1:30. This allows our teachers and staff to plan and do some professional development. If you are going to be absent that day, if your child is absent, please send an email to this email address as soon as possible. Next slide. So at Raha, we have our uniform shop at Zach's Uniform, which is in Raha Mall. You can purchase it there. You'll see that the early years children, EY1 up to grade 1, have a green shirt. Then the primary children and secondary have white. You will have all the information at Zach's. For the PE uniform and for the hoodie, the jumper, that can be purchased online at cookerysports.ae. Next. We encourage and require children to wear black shoes. So you can see from the pictures that we don't want any kind of sandals or slippers. But if there could be black uniform shoes, it would be ideal. And for our little ones, we would encourage them to not have lace tie shoes if they're not able to do it independently. We do have swimming as part of our PE program. And this has all of the information about what your child can bring once swimming starts. The biggest thing to point out is that our EY1 and EY2 children can come wearing their swim clothes and shoes, and then after they participate in their swimming lesson, they can change into their uniform. But grades 1 and up, they need to come dressed in their uniform, and then while they're at school, they will need to change into their swimming clothes. We encourage small backpacks, so if you could avoid the big trolley backpacks, it would be better because we have limited space in our cubbies, fit the normal backpacks much easier. So a child, they only need a small backpack, then it can contain just maybe a couple books, their food, their water bottle, and their hat, and that would be enough. The children do get to go to the library every week, and they are required to bring a bag to put their books in. It does not have to be a library bag that's from Raha, from the Zach's Uniform shop. However, it can be, but any reusable bag will be sufficient. So because we do live in such a hot and sunny place, we have a rule that is no hat, no play. So please find a hat. It can be any hat. It does not have to be Raha logo, but any hat that your child is comfortable with playing in, and they will need that to play at break time. And just make sure it's labeled because we have so many children, and if it gets misplaced, it might be hard to locate. We also encourage reusable water bottles. So because it is so hot, the children drink a lot of water throughout the day, and if they have their name labeled on their water bottle, it would be amazing. And then the last thing just says, make sure everything is named. You can label it over the summer just to be prepared. The next slide is going to be back to Rachel, who is going to talk about our BYOD policy.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. So our BYOD, which is bring your own device policy, ranges from grades 1 to 8. So at Raha, we use our devices to support the learning that is happening in the classroom. In grades 4 to 5, it is recommended that you get a keyboard that can go with the iPad. That really helps with students when they start typing and use their devices for research and things online. And from grades 6 to 8, iPads with keyboards or laptop computers are recommended. And then when we move to grade 9, laptop computers will be required. We do have policies about BYOD, which can be found on our website. As you'll see, there is a link below. We all have responsibilities as a teacher, student, and parent. So please read a little bit more about that before coming to school next year. Thank you. I will pass on to Anne, who is going to talk a little bit about allergies.
Thank you, Rachel. This is just a quick note to let all of our parents know that we are a nut-free school. We do have students and members of staff who are highly allergic to nuts, and sometimes we do have certain food items that may contain nuts that we are not aware of. So please just make sure we're very vigilant because it is a life-threatening allergy. And if we do see students with food containing nuts, we will take it away to keep our school community safe. Next slide. Thank you, Anna. Buses. So we know that a large majority of our school community do use the bus services. We have a company called 7 Stars that we use, and we have put on the slide their email address, so you are able to contact them if you are wishing to use the bus services. Our bus services work alongside the school, and we do make sure we have very strict and safe policies and procedures in place to get the students from the bus as well as back to the bus in the afternoon. It is important that you communicate directly with the transportation company, the bus service company, if you wish your children to use the bus. We also require that you let the bus services and the school know at least a week in advance. We can't expect to have all of our lists and everything updated within 24 hours, and to keep all of our students safe, we do require that you have at least a week's notice for the bus service and the school when you would like to start using their services. But if you know in advance that you will be requiring the bus, please get in touch with them shortly, and you can get this arrangement started. Next slide, please. Thank you. So ECPs, which is our extracurricular program, we are still waiting to hear from ADIC is exactly what this may look like next year. But a typical year outside of COVID, we run a very robust extracurricular program, and we can separate this into 2 areas. We call them teacher-provided ECPs and external provided ECPs. So external ECPs are where we allow companies to come onto our campus and provide a paid-for service, where the children are able to access these directly after school hours. So they leave class, walk across to the designated area, and they can join an ECP. This may be karate, ballet lessons, tennis, and sometimes gymnastics. There's a wide variety of these services. And then we have ECPs that are provided by the school. These are not paid for, and there is a wide range. Of course, there's all the sporting teams that become competitive from grade 2 upwards, and we also have ECPs in the form of cultural, where we have choir and plays that we put on, as well as arts and crafts, homework club, extra Arabic, a whole wide range of extracurricular activity that the students can participate in. It's important to note that in term 1, for the EY1 students, we don't usually offer an ECP because the students are exhausted and ready to go home at the end of the day, and we just allow them that time to get settled into school. We do run our ECP program through an app called Schools Buddy, and we do have a dedicated ECP coordinator, and the email address is there. But as soon as we have more information on what this program can look like next year, we will send out an update. Thank you. And I'm now going to hand back over to Anna.
Hi everybody, we've just got a couple more slides left. I know we've kept you for a large chunk of time. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about communication. I know one of the things that we hear lots of from parents is that lots of different emails coming into their very busy inbox can be a little bit overwhelming, and that key information can be lost. So we're really mindful of that, and we really try and streamline our communication. So there are 3 forms that communication from the school will fall into. And your first point of contact is always your child's homeroom teacher. So you will have access to their email address. You will be able to email them backwards and forwards. We just ask you to be mindful and remember that our teachers, their predominant job during the school day is obviously to be in class with your children. So they won't be able to access any emails, and they wouldn't be expected to respond to emails during the day. This means that if you are contacting them with any vital information around things like whether they are or aren't getting on the bus or attending ECPs, that really needs to happen via a phone call to the front desk, as that can be dealt with instantly. Not only will you have access to the teacher's email, you'll also, and in fact they've already been shared, those learning and teaching lead emails. So that's kind of the next stage of contact. We regularly, so in fact every Thursday, send out a document called Raha Reminders, and we try and put all of our information into that one email. Any important events that are coming up, things that you need to remember, celebrations of learning, nice photographs that we've seen across the week, everything will be documented within that one email that will link you onto other places. So that streamlining of communication should hopefully ensure that you don't miss any vital information, and just make sure that every Thursday you're keeping your eyes open for that Raha reminder popping into your email address. Every term, the heads of school will send out a newsletter, which is that really nice celebration of learning and roundup of the term's work. One of my last slides I'm going to talk about is you guys as our community, our family, our parents. We passionately believe in that very important link between home and school. We know that before our children get to us, they have already done so much learning at home with you, and that you are vital in continuing that learning after school and before school. We really value that communication both ways. We would be very happy to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you and share beautiful learning that we've seen in school, and we would encourage you guys to do the same. Have that contact with your teachers on the door, drop them an email, phone the school. We really believe that strong partnership helps your child in school. Because of that, we have a very strong parent team. At the moment, we have a lady called Pariti, who is head of our parent team, and she manages the parent team across Gardens campus and Khalifa City campus. And I know that as we are growing as a school, she's very keen to get more and more support with running that parent team. So we've popped the email address on the slide there. If anybody would like to offer a bit of time and a bit of support, it would be fantastic to have you on board. The parent team will be in contact with classes once school is up and running, because I know they sort out parent reps and class groups, and we tend to leave that all to the parent team to be able to hand over to them. The other vital thing with our parents on site is that we do expect everybody on site to wear a parent lanyard. We have popped the link into this presentation, and as Anne said at the beginning, this presentation will be emailed out to everybody as a PDF with workable links. So you'll be able to click on this link, which will take you to an online form that you will need to complete, and you'll be that will start your application process for your parent badge. The parent badge is an ID badge with a red lanyard that you'll be expected to wear around your neck at all times when you're on premises, and that just allows us to firstly know that that person is okay to pick up that child, and just to monitor the safety of who's on site. If you forget your lanyard one day, which was always inevitable, you'll be able to head over to the security desk, who will manually sign you in. Okay, so the last slide from me is just to give you a little bit of a heads up around what happens next in this process for you. So towards the end of this month into early July, you'll be sent out your welcome pack with all of your pre-registration information, and the PowerPoint slides from this presentation will be in that welcome pack, along with lots of information around medical forms, permission forms for photographs, BYOD permission forms. Further down the line into August, we'll be sending out communication to our early years and primary families around Toddle. And Toddle is our education platform that children use to access any online learning and activities like that. It will also be used to communicate with families around learning. So we'll be sending out communication around the apps that you can download, with a little video of how to use the system, just so that you are prepped and ready for the start of the school year. Towards the end of August, so coming closer to that start of school, is when you'll start to get lots of information around your class allocations. You'll find out your child's class and your child's teacher. Your child's teacher will be in contact with a welcome email and a video welcoming them to the school and introducing themselves. We will also start to send out information around the entrances and exits that you will use to enter the school building and all those procedures for the start and the end of the school day. I've had quite a few people in the chat ask around the start and end of school days and pick up and drop off procedures. This year we have had to change a lot of the way we work because of COVID restrictions, and one of the big things for us was not being allowed to have parents on site and not being able to have siblings on site. ADEC are updating their guidelines over the summer, which is why we're not sending out anything just yet about what that will look like, because we don't want to communicate one method and then have it change again over the summer. So once we know what is finally in place, we'll be communicating with our community around what that will look like. The other question that I've had lots of questions around in the chat is around the devices that you need. And I know Rachel has covered that, but it's just to confirm that you are expected to provide a device for your child. And we are looking for those Apple devices, preferably iPads in the younger years, and then moving into laptops in the older years. But as we said, the information is all in this document, which will be sent out will be sent out over the next couple of weeks, with lots more information around the start of the school day and the end of the school day and what that looks like. That is it from all of us at KCC. It is a big thank you from us for taking the time to join this meeting. It's really valuable in helping your child and your family settle into the KCC community. We cannot wait to see you all on campus in August. I'm looking out of the window now and the campus is looking absolutely incredible. We're just putting some finishing touches to the inside, and lots of that work around the roads is starting to happen now, but the inside is ready and we are raring to get children in. We hope you all have an incredible summer, and for those of you that are travelling, keep safe, and we'll see you back ready to start school in August. Thank you very much.